Let's start our second session of the conference. And I would like to draw your attention to the fact, check your folders. You must have a printout in your folders. This printout has got a slip with orange stickers. Please don't lose it. At the end of the conference, it will come handy. During the last session of our conference, proactive citizens will propose their ideas for improving public space in Riga, and you will be able to use those stickers to vote for a particular idea by attaching the sticker to a map. Hello everyone, my name is Gatis Pavils. We have a wide range of specialists here in this conference, and I am very grateful that the Riga City Architects Office selected me to chair this session of the conference. So we will discuss how exactly the Riga port could develop, should develop. At the beginning of this session, we have a special guest, a representative of the country, which is our inspiration when developing our port, in particular the Netherlands. I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Netherlands to Latvia, Mr. Cornelius.
Labdiem. Ladies and gentlemen, every day when I step out of my residence in Riga, on the island of Chipsela, I can see the port of Riga to the left and the city center to the right. So vibrant economic activity on the one hand and the beautiful historic skyline of the old city on the other. So there you have it, port and people. A fitting image for today's conference. I simply love cities on the water. When I worked at the Dutch Embassy in Berlin 10 years ago, I always enjoyed traveling to Hamburg. You could feel the hustle and bustle in the harbor, and it was also spectacular to see how the city was redeveloping the banks on the river Elbe. You can see the same thing in Amsterdam, behind Amsterdam Central Station, where the banks of the River A are being developed at a breathtaking pace. Or think of Rotterdam, the biggest port in Europe. Not only is the port as full of life as ever, but the city itself is going through a kind of urban renaissance. Buildings are going up along the river one after the other. Port and people go hand in hand, which is nice for me personally because my mother was born and raised in Rotterdam. Her father, my grandfather, worked in the shipping business. So I would very much like to thank the Riga City Architects Office and the Freeport of Riga Authority for inviting me to the annual Reinhold Schmeling Conference. I'm pleased to say a few words of introduction to the second part of this conference as a warming up to the presentation of Mr. Carlos Zepeda, the true expert from the port of Rotterdam. I have been in Riga now for over 2 months. It is a continuous journey of discovery, and I am enjoying it. A city on the water, you know. One of the things I came across was the Museum on the History of Riga. There I saw a painting of a Dutch merchant ship in the port of Riga in the 17th century, which we like to call our golden age. This goes to show that our trading relationship goes back centuries. And even today, the Netherlands remains a major trading partner for Latvia. Transport and logistics form an important part in developing our economic ties, in particular the contribution of ports. Today, 1 in 12 people in the Netherlands work in the transport and logistics sector. To remain competitive, our industry is focused on innovation. By the same token, the Latvian economy is growing thanks, in part, to the continued development of transport and logistics. And that includes growth of Latvian ports. Now, the Netherlands has the best port infrastructure in the world, and that's not me saying it. It is the World Economic Forum in its latest Global Competitiveness Report. This is already the 6th year in a row that our country has taken top position. In addition, the Port of Rotterdam is the largest port in Europe, as I said, and other important drivers are the ports of Amsterdam, Zeeland seaports in the southwest of our country, and Groningen seaports in the northeast. As you can see, port activity is nicely spread across the country. To remain competitive, Dutch seaports must continue to develop and respond to global developments. One example, the transition to sustainable energy. There's one challenge: space. In our country, there's little land available for such developers, which is why operators and companies must use the space currently available in port areas in a smart way. They must find room for expansion within existing port areas. For ports to retain their competitive position, they need easy access. The Dutch government is ensuring that access to ports by sea, road, rail, and waterways is maintained or improved in several ways. For example, this is done by deepening and maintaining the depth of maritime access channels. Also, transport links to the hinterland are being improved. For example, by widening the motorway between Rotterdam and Germany, which is a very vital connection. Final example, a transshipment site in the east of Rotterdam, where lorries unload their containers and inland navigation vessels transport the cargo to the sea terminals at the port of Rotterdam. This means less heavy traffic on the roads in the Rotterdam area. The Dutch government's current hub port policy is to strengthen the Netherlands' international competitive position. This is done by closely linking, for example, the Rotterdam hub port with urban areas in a smart way. It means linking these areas further with Brainport Eindhoven in the south of the country, where Philips Electronics used to have its factories. Brainport Eindhoven now is a collaboration between the knowledge-based industry and manufacturing industry. By the way, your Prime Minister visited Eindhoven last year. There is a connection too with so-called green ports, players active in agriculture and horticulture, and with our capital Amsterdam as a digital hub, a cluster of data centers, internet exchanges, and international data connections in and around Amsterdam. Ports and cities can only remain competitive if they focus on innovation and become smarter. From smart cities to smart ports and smart logistics. Technologies such as the Internet of Things and the introduction of 5G can change the dynamics of the relationship between city, industry, and port. And, ladies and gentlemen, this is already happening. Back now to the Latvian-Dutch relationship. His Majesty King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands visited Latvia in June of this year in recognition of Latvia's centenary of statehood. After what I just told you, you will not be surprised that the economic component of the state visit was centered on the theme of smart mobility and sustainable logistics. A number of events were organized, such as the Get Connected conference, an embassy event in partnership with, amongst others, the Freeport of Riga and the Investment and Developing Agency of Latvia. I am pleased that the ports of Riga and Rotterdam signed their cooperation agreement during the state visit, with the King in attendance at the conference itself. A Dutch trade delegation also accompanied the King with the best we have to offer on smart mobility, transport, and logistics. And our companies shared their knowledge and experience with their Latvian counterparts. This conference will allow us to hear the experiences and the strategies of the ports of Rotterdam and Riga, and to hear more generally about regeneration. This will be relevant not only to architects and urban planners, but also to those seeking to improve the urban environment. By the way, it was interesting for me to read that Dutch architect Rem Koolhaas was at some point involved in developing visions for the city and port of Riga. So who knows, a Dutch touch to Riga? Perhaps it is still possible. There's a saying in Dutch which translates into change creates life. Only through change can we fully grow, by embracing change, new ideas, new technologies, and new ways of thinking. Our cities, industries, and ports will truly grow. This is what makes cities on the water so attractive. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust that you have been sufficiently warmed up by now to give a warm welcome to Mr. Carlos Zepeda from the Port of Rotterdam. Do enjoy his presentation. Thank you very much. Bom dias.